hello, vanakkam, namaskar, and welcome to my podcast, The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant. I'm a radio jockey from Radio 1 Chennai, and this is my podcast where I introduce to you several people that I have met during this journey of mine. Lots of interesting stories to share, and one such story that has really inspired me is one of my really closest friends. So Anita Kamaraj is a very renowned photographer here in Chennai, someone who I started working with a couple of years ago, and I have seen her transform to this wonderful human being and a photographer that she is today, and her journey has been nothing short of incredible. So today, to share her story with us, here joining me on my podcast is Anita Kamaraj. Hi Anita, how are you doing today?
Hi Shruti, thank you so much for asking me again to be on your show. So first, I'm very nervous. Second, I'm very excited.
Very exciting journey for me as well. And like I mentioned in the beginning, I think from where we started off, we've had a very interesting journey, right? Yeah. From being people who used to just shoot on occasion to actually being a part of several important milestones in each other's career graph. I think we've come a long way. So let's go back to the beginning. Just like me, somebody who chose the engineering degree was thrust upon you, and you chose to do a course that not a lot of women generally, right? Today, of course, we're in 2020 and women are breaking all sorts of glass ceilings. But back in the day, obviously mechanical engineering would not have been an easy choice for you. But given your lineage, given that your father deals with this subject extensively, I'm sure it was like a, obvious choice for you. So take us a little bit through that. How was the engineering journey for you?
So once, my 12th results came, so it was very clear that I was not going anywhere.
Right.
I couldn't get into medicine. I wouldn't get into a good engineering college. So what I wanted to do was Viscom in Loyola.
Right.
But my father, he wanted me to do engineering. So he gave me two choices. So either you take up computer science or you take up mechanical.
Okay.
So then I didn't want to do computer science because I didn't like it. First.
Right.
So second, then I thought mechanical will be really different.
Right.
And I don't make friends easily with women.
Okay.
So that's one of the reason I took up mechanical engineering. And
right.
It is a very weird and different experience, but I had fun.
I think that's the important takeaway, right? Because all of us have our own choices and reasons as to why we particularly choose a path to go down. For example, when I decided to do my electronics and communication engineering, it was honestly because it had the word communication in it, and it was nothing else. And at that particular point of time when I was studying, ECE was like the hot topic, the degree that everybody wanted to, sort of study. So that's pretty much how it is. But I know that even when you were doing your engineering, right, photography was something that you were really interested in. So tell me how that switch happened. How did you decide that, okay, this is a passion that I truly want to pursue?
Okay, so the thing is, I had an interest for photography when I was very young itself. The film camera they have. So I usually shoot in that, and I keep storing pictures.
Okay.
And while I was doing engineering, around the second or third year, I had a really bad heartbreak. Oh. So I thought I would do something for myself. Then I realized I hadn't done anything for myself at that point of time. So then I decided to, do what makes me happy. That's how I think photography comforted me in a lot of ways that people couldn't.
Right.
So then I started practicing it with my friends, then started going for photo walks and all that thing. Then I thought I should take it up seriously. I mean, if something is making you happy, then you should not let it go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's why I decided, okay, I think photography is the next thing.
Right.
Then I continue doing that.
Right. Yeah. A heartbreak made you realize that self-love was important and that you need to do things that make you really happy.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm very glad in a way, I'm not being mean, but I'm very glad that heartbreak led you to this, because today in Chennai, you're one of the most sought after food and fashion photographers. But I know that
Sorry, I'm also grateful to that heartbreak.
Right.
If not for that, I wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely. Life takes us on very different journeys, right? And some of the most unexpected choices that we make sort of translate into the decisions that we take later on. Right. So getting back to talking about photography, I know that you started really young. You started doing a lot of collaborations. You started seeking out people and saying, you know what, you did a lot of different experimentation.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, as cliche as it sounds, women don't have it easy. Right? Especially when it comes to certain fields that are, you know, typically considered a male-dominated area. Obviously, photography falls into that. So how do people treat you? How was the initial phase? Of course, today you have a very strong footing and there are clients who approach you, right? The tables have turned now. But how was it in the beginning?
So when I started doing it professionally, people thought I could not do it. You know, as in this is something that you can't do.
Right.
I mean, if I had a male member in my team, they would talk to him and not talk to me.
Right.
I was like, dude, what?
Yeah.
So then, you know, what helped me was consistency.
Right.
Every day I worked. Every day I made sure I learned something. So only by like putting it out there, putting it on social media, working with a lot of people, the exposure helped me a lot to gain certain audience and to draw clients to me. It was really difficult because it is not just about doubting. People think you're not good enough.
Right.
So they'll easily compare you with another photographer and say, no, it is not good enough because you're a woman.
Right.
So that is how they saw at that point. They were completely okay with having women on the screen, but not off the screen.
Not off the screen.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure there have been several such instances in your life where you've had to go that extra mile to prove that you can do it maybe even better than your male contemporary. We will get into those details in just a bit. But going back to finding your niche, because as a photographer, I think it's very important, of course, to keep growing and evolving and learning and experimenting with different things. But how did you realize that food was your true calling? Because I remember telling you this a couple of years ago when we were talking, and I said, nobody photographs food the way you do, because I still remember watching your food photographs and how passionate you were about it, because that truly translates. As a photographer, I believe the person who is able to capture the soul of the subject, right? That's absolutely important. And when you talk about food, visually that's the first thing. It needs to be tempting. So how did you identify that niche? How did you decide that this is what?
So a couple of years ago, when food blogging was the thing, everybody wanted to food blog.
Right.
I also wanted to food blog.
Right.
So I then met a lot of people. Then I wanted to start my YouTube channel, food YouTube channel and all that. Then I started exploring places. I explored in such a way that I almost covered half the Madras.
Wow.
So it was very fun doing that. Then I thought maybe I didn't want to food blog. I wanted to photograph food. Then I casually started trying at home. Then I thought it clicks. Why not?
Right.
Then I approached a couple of people who had cafes and all.
Okay.
So then a few of them were my friends, so they were ready to give me a chance.
Right.
So when I shot there and they said, it is good, you're supposed you should go for it.
Right.
Then I made a decision saying, yes, this is my calling. I mean, fashion is, but I think food is my main thing.
Right. So food makes you happy or people make you happy?
Food. No doubt.
Right. That's as honest as it gets, because I definitely believe food is like the solution to a lot of life's problems. And definitely I think being able to photograph food and present it in such a beautiful way. How did it feel when you saw your first, food shot being printed in a magazine or a menu card? How was that feeling for you?
So the very first commercial shoot was for a restaurant in Nungambakam. So when they printed out a banner and a standee, so I made sure I took my family for a lunch there.
Right.
I stood near the standee and I took a picture. That's how happy I was, and I never expected that I would see my work on prints, on menu cards, on magazines, and I mean it makes me happy, but also I still can't believe it's happening.
Sometimes it's those moments in life where you pinch yourself and say, oh my God, is this happening to me? Because sometimes you have this vision in your head, sometimes you have this dream that you're so passionate about pursuing, and when it all finally falls in place, you feel like, is this really happening to me? I think that's one of those very surrealistic experiences, right?
I feel it every time. When I see them on print, I feel it.
That's a beautiful feeling to have, and I hope and pray that you have many more such beautiful experiences and moments in life and keep growing from strength to strength. So getting back to talking a little bit about, because I extensively wanted to understand your journey as a woman photographer. The reason why I'm saying the word woman photographer is because we want to break that taboo, right? We want to break that ceiling. We want everybody to sort of stop putting the gender in front of the profession. It is just supposed to be a photographer, cinematographer, an actor. That is the kind of, ceiling that we're trying to break. And when it comes to photography, we spoke a little bit about the initial, hiccups, the initial misconceptions and the misgivings that people had. So after you sort of, created a name for yourself, and today when the tables have turned, how do you look back at that journey?
So whenever a client approaches me, or be it any client, whenever a client approaches anybody, the client should think, I should hire this photographer. He or she should not think that if the photographer is a male or a female. I mean, you should judge their work, not the gender. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So when my career started, I got a call from a client in Bangalore, and he said, will you be able to travel? So I didn't understand the question. Why is he asking me, will you be able to travel? No, being a woman and all, will you be able to travel? I mean, why not? Why not?
Right.
No, I mean, why? I think right now you should not see gender as a weightage. It's the work that matters, not the gender. I mean, it doesn't matter if a person clicks with right hand or left hand. It's the output that you want. It's the output that you like. So that phase taught me a lot. It always put me down. It always pulled me down when people spoke to me like that. But looking back, I think those are very great learning experiences. Those are the type of people I would really avoid and go. I mean, I really don't want to even see them face to face.
It's a very conscious choice to cut out the negative people and the toxicity and just keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking forward to, right? We're looking to grow, we're looking to empower ourselves and the people who accompany us along the journey. So far, you've had a lot of success in breaking those barriers. And coming back to a question that I know is very important to the two of us, because we've been big women our whole lives, right? Yeah. And we've always been very positive, I think, advocates of body positivity, because we've always believed that we want to show the world that it doesn't matter, right? Our size is just a number on probably a clothing material. But we've always proved that it's beyond that. So what is your take on body positivity in today's day and age?
So I'm not a person who would want to preach saying you should be like this, you should be like that. But I'm a person who will say just own yourself.
Absolutely.
That's important. I mean, you don't want validation from other people. So all my life I've cried. I've cried going to sleep. I've cried going to school. I've cried going to college. So I've had people in my life reminding me constantly about what I can't do. Right. So I'm a person, when you tell me that you can't do something, I'll definitely go do it. That's what I've been doing this day. Right. So if my parents tell me you don't have to go do this, then why can't I? I mean, why are you judging my body for that? It's my mentality that matters. I mean, I know health is important. I mean, that will be the only reason why I will reduce my weight. So don't let my weight, don't decide me for my weight. Absolutely. Because that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
And being like this is even more difficult when you want to do something in a male-dominated industry, because some people will look upon you for how you look.
Right.
And that is the worst feeling ever. If somebody is, really good looking, and they'll just talk to you immediately. For me, it was very difficult for me to get noticed. I didn't have a voice. It was like I didn't have a voice. So if a normal looking person works for 24 hours a day, I'll have to work for 48 hours a day. If a day has 48 hours. Yeah. So that's how difficult it was. I had to do everything twice to get noticed. It's something that nobody should ever go through.
I just want to tell you this because today, looking back at the journey that you've had, and after having followed your work for so many years, I think today you are a voice that represents a lot of passionate young women who have a dream, who followed their dream and didn't listen to any of the naysayers. Because that is what they are, right? We leave behind the toxicity in the past. We leave behind the negativity in the past because that's where they belong. They don't belong with us in our journey together. Yeah. Marching forward, marching towards the bigger things in life, and pun intended, the bigger things in life is something that we all deserve. And like you said, nobody deserves to go through discrimination based on any of the factors that we were talking about. And like you rightly said, it's not about preaching that this is the way that we need to be or anything of that sort. Owning yourself is the most important thing. Gift that you can give yourself, and that's what Anita Kamaraj from Chennai, a very, very talented, incredibly amazing human being and a photographer, has to share. Anita, I just have to ask you one more question before we end this podcast. Your journey has been filled with a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But I'm sure you've cherished the ups and of course learned from the downs, right?
Yeah.
So if you had to sort of put together everything that you've learned over the past couple of years in just maybe a few lines, as what would you like message to sort of be to the people who are listening to my podcast today?
Okay, so I have a couple of messages, not just one or two, I have a lot of messages to give, because when you doubt yourself, you actually weigh yourself down. It doesn't matter what other people say, you put yourself down. So you know your capacity, you know your caliber, and you don't let anybody decide that for you. Not even your family, not even your friends, nobody. I mean, if you want to do something, go for it. Like, don't think about the consequences. I know some consequences could be bad, but if you don't go for it, then you'll regret it for your whole life. Absolutely. Which is much worse. If you're passionate, if you want to do it, just go for it. I mean, trust your energy, go for it. Second, I think even if you're passionate and if you're not consistent, you'll not be able to do it. I think it's that quote where hard work beats talent. So it's as simple as that. I think hard work is the key. Consistency is the key. Nothing else matters. And never ever get above your head. That's very important. No matter how gifted you are, no matter how talented you are, it's always important to stay grounded. That's how you get good people in your life.
I think all of the messages that you've shared today are so important, especially in a day and age where we're filled constantly with comparisons, given the advent of social media and the far-reaching consequences it has in our lives, right? We're constantly glued to Instagram. We're constantly glued to every platform that is available out there, creating content. I still remember during this pandemic how hard you worked when it came to, developing your Instagram page, especially focusing on food, right? And like you said, consistency. Sometimes we always wonder, right? Do we have to push ourselves beyond that point? But if you don't push yourself out of that comfort zone, you're not going to get anywhere. And taking that risk is absolutely the most crucial step, I think, in our journey. Because like you said, right? Sometimes if we don't do it, you don't want to live a life full of regret thinking, what if? Right? So I think that's a very beautiful message to sort of, end my podcast episode for today. Having this conversation with you has truly been very, very inspiring. It's been a pleasure as always, because I think every time we have an interaction, we learn so much, and the energy that you give off, the talent that you're blessed with, the talent that you have worked to cultivate, I think that is very, very key. The consistency and the spirit, the never say die attitude that you have is an inspiration to every single person out there, Anita, and I'm incredibly proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we spoke, and I've learned a lot from you. You might not know that, but I've learned a lot from you, and I've always looked up to you. And I want our bond to go for a long time.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure that we will be with each other along this journey of life, as will the several people that I'm going to be meeting as part of this podcast as well. The reason we decided, the reason I curated this podcast called The People I Meet is because I wanted to introduce to the listeners some of these incredibly talented human beings that are a part of my journey and share their journey with you along this series. And I hope that you really found today's today's episode with Anita Kamaraj useful, you can find her on Instagram as Anita Kamaraj. Follow her, and trust me when I say this, her food, the way she photographs, truly will make you hungry. A very big thank you to Anita Kamaraj for joining me today. And this series, this podcast is called The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant, RJ from Radio 1 Chennai, bringing to you some experiences, some inspiring stories. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.